y'all, welcome to my channel. Today I will show you how I created this card using some Lavinia Stamps, some Distress Oxide inks, and of course some dewdrops by the Robin's Nest. Along with our gel plate and some cardstock, we're going to bring in some Distress Oxide inks in the color Broken China and Chip Sapphire. So because I want our gel print to be nicely centered onto our card front, I have it all rigged up this way so that it creates a nice even print on our cardstock piece. And now we're going to bring in the Chip Sapphire. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our brayer. This is a speedball brayer. So we're just going to run our brayer, and now we can close the lid of our MISTI. Okay, so we have a nice print, but I think I'm actually going to bring the Broken China back in. And I'm not bringing the Chip Sapphire back in. I'm going to brayer it to make sure it gets a nice even coating. And now we're going to put the lid back over our gel plate. And yeah, I like that much better. Now that I have pulled my print, I'm going to start stamping and creating a scene using some Lavinia Stamps. But actually first I'm going to stamp with this Close to My Heart stamp set, which is retired, and it's going to give us the look of some flowers, well, at least one flower, and all of the little seeds that get blown out of it are just going to be sort of floating in the wind. We're going to stamp that in VersaFine Clair Nocturne. Whenever I'm doing a scene building, I like to use the We Are Memory Keepers Precision Press. So now we're going to use our microfiber cloth to help us make sure we apply some even pressure for our stamp. Okay, we need to definitely apply a little more pressure, and we're going to bring in our ink pad again. Okay, so I'm actually going to remove this magnet because I'm not sure if that is what resisted taking all of the stamped image. So I'm going to place our stamp back on and use the microfiber cloth to help us apply some even pressure. There we go. There is our stamped image. Now we're going to bring in our Lavinia Stamps, our little fairies, and they're going to be in here kind of trying to catch the seeds from the flower. So there are our fairies. They look much better. And now we're going to try and dry our ink because we want to be sure that we can bring in some embossing ink, because I don't know if you've seen my video where I did a mason jar card, but I'm going to bring in those little lightning bugs that I had in the mason jar card and put them on this card as well. So first we need to bring in our heat it tool and try to dry up the ink, because the VersaFine Clair Nocturne is very juicy. It's a very juicy ink, so it takes a bit of time for it to dry. So now that should be dry, and I'm going to bring in some Post-it note to check and make sure that it is dry. Okay, we are all good there. And now we're going to bring our precision press back in. And right now, we're going to bring in our powder tool. That way our embossing powder that we're going to use will only stick to our embossing ink. The embossing ink we're going to use is going to be our VersaMark Dazzle in Frost. And we're going to be randomly placing our little lightning bugs. And the same as on my mason jar card, I'm going to bring back in the Wow glow in the dark embossing powder. And since we're only going to be using the smaller stamp, it's just going to be a repeat process of this step that I'm doing right now. So we're just going to heat emboss that. So we're just going to move our stamp around into some different areas. So, because these are lightning bugs, we're gonna bring in some yellow dewdrops. And when you're using your dewdrops, you need some good adhesive, which is why I'm bringing in some Barely Art glue. So the hard part about this is spotting exactly where our heat embossing was, especially where the center is. So that's our next step. Some of these areas are a little too hard for me to see. And your Barely Art glue comes with its own little pin to stick back in to the bottle to close it up. Now we're going to use our jewel picker along with a jewel tray. And I know that the adhesive comes out white, but it does dry clear. So I've got one last thing to do on our card today, and that is to bring in one of these green, emerald green, I want to say, dewdrops in, and we're going to place it right here in the center of our flower. And take our jewel picker and pick out the right jewel, which is going to be the large circle. So we've placed this dewdrop on our card front, and now I don't know how familiar you are with the robin's nest dewdrops, so I'm going to show them to you, at least size-wise. So we have the teardrop shape and the diamond shape, and also in certain bottles, in your teardrop shape, you might have more than one color. Then there's the large circle and the small circle, which also comes in this other color as well. So, and they come in a variety of colors, but you do need to have some good adhesive to attach them to your card panel or your art journals or whatever you desire to place dewdrops onto. So I would just like to thank y'all for spending some time with me here on my channel. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. I have a question for y'all. What is your favorite color combo? Because I'm thinking about playing more with the Lavinia Stamps, and I kind of think they need a really cool looking background. So we've already played with the Broken China and Chipped Sapphire, at least as far as the Distress Oxides go. But so are you a Distress Oxide person, or is there another ink brand or ink style that you like? I also have the regular Distress inks, but I think that for this card it looked really well to use the Oxides. Alrighty y'all, remember, stay safe, stay healthy, stay crafty. Bye y'all.